This is a Gathering Heritage project interview recorded in County Louth in Ireland.
The Crosby family home was where the credit union is now situated. He had a brother and sister. He was born in 1832. The year he was born, there was a cholera epidemic in Blackrock. And
what happened to him then, Noel? How did he die?
He died from what's now known as hypothermia. James Crosby wasn't drowned, but what happened was that on nearing the Mary Stoddart, Crosby's boat was capsized, and Crosby and his crew were in the water for between an estimated 15 and 20 minutes. This would thus be responsible for killing them. They would die with hypothermia and shock. Many of the men who were rescued were brought ashore in a woeful condition. Going out, Crosby had wanted to wait to make the attempt when the tide had ebbed. It had only half ebbed when the men went ahead. He was apparently overruled. It would have made more sense to go out when the tide had fully ebbed. Boats left the lighthouse around 10 a.m. The tide had only ebbed for about 2 hours. That this is the most dangerous type of tide to attempt to navigate in order to reach the stricken ship, because as the force of the ebb tide weakens, the waves would tend to peak less and become longer and thus easier to navigate had they waited. And this was the idea behind Crosby's. But there was still a strong ebb piling against gale force wind that was now creating very high waves coming very close together, waves to 10 and 12 foot high.
Yeah, so no, at the end of all the attempts and everything like that, there was 7 people died on the actual ship.
And there were 4 people drowned in the rescue attempt.
And 4,
Crosby's going out twice. Michael McCart was thrown out of George Elphinstone's boat, and he had to be pulled back in by the armpits and by the hair on his head by 2 of the hand, by James Morton and George Elphinstone. And they lost the Noel, which was a disaster because it impeded their steering. And Morton was also washed into the water head first, but he was pulled back by Captain Haynes grabbing the belt of his trousers. So it was a suicide attempt going there.
Yeah. And where was Crosby at this time?
Crosby was in the other boat, and when they neared the Mary Stoddart, you're talking about 2 miles out to sea, when they neared the Mary Stoddart, a huge wave overturned Crosby's boat, and he and his crew were pitched into the sea. They were in the water for an estimated 15 to 20 minutes, and the lengthy exposure to frozen seas would be the main factor in killing them from shock and hypothermia.
But they got back into the boat, did they?
Another wave righted the boat again.
Oh, right.
And those that were able to were crawled back in and dragged in. Captain Kelly had been washed away by several yards. The last sightings of James Kelly, both at Blackrock and at Belorgan Point, witnesses who saw him last stated he was wearing very high leather boots above the knees. These would not have given him any chance and would have dragged him down. Indeed, when his body was discovered later, a couple of months later, there was one of his boots missing. And when his foot came out of one boot, he slowly rose to the surface. But Crosby didn't die there and then. Captain Kelly did. The last word that the stricken crew heard was Kelly yelling, "Lord of mercy, look out for yourselves, boys!" And then he sank. God rest him.
Listen to the full interview on www.gatheringheritage.com.